evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world, and welcome to this new conversation. Let's talk about it. And today we're gonna talk
Interesting
about
topic today.
sexuality. Should we put the music? Let's talk about
Mm,
talk about you.
I was jamming to
Talk
that. I
about
was just like, oh. It's been a while since I heard that song. I was like, that's a good throwback. That was a good throwback.
I know. So good afternoon, everybody. Good evening. If you just joined us, good evening, Willie. Good to see you from Germany.
hey,
So
Hey, hey.
remember to share. We are live, so we're gonna give you guys more time. Usually put like the intro long enough so you guys have time to share. Let people know that we're gonna come on. So hopefully you are doing that right now as we speak.
Right.
And if you are catching the replay, welcome to this conversation. Hopefully, you'll make it
Hey,
to the
hey.
end as our other members join us on the panel as we go along with the conversation. So today's topic: shall I keep my ex just for sex? I mean, this is a great topic. We
Mm.
had the French version last we've and it was amazing. We've
Uh-huh.
had
That
some
was a lengthy
testimonies.
conversation.
Exactly. It's one of those things when you kind of think that you have the answer, and then you hear
Right.
some people's stories and like their testimony, and then you be like, okay, it happens. Things
Mm-hmm.
happen. So
Mm-hmm.
before we go too deep into the subject, let's do like a round for people who don't know me. Hi, my name is Carlita. I'm the founder of His Chosen Ship, along with Nali. You wanna introduce yourself?
Hey, everybody. My name is Nally, rhymes with Sally, co-founder of His Chosen Sheep. We make sure that we're having these like interesting conversations and topics to kind of get us chatting and just, especially during these times, we just to be connected. So I'm happy to have everybody here. Hope everybody's doing well. It is a good topic,
Awesome.
Willie. It is going to be a great topic. Yeah.
That's gonna be fun. So who's
Yeah.
next?
Come on, fellas.
Dundees, you can
Spice.
go.
He's always like,
We're being too
you go.
gentlemanly today. Okay, I'll go. My name is Don Dees Donovan, and I am a pastor in Southern California. And yeah, it's been a little hiatus, and glad to be back.
Mm-hmm.
We got a nice spicy topic, so glad we got the spice with us.
Listen,
And I'm ready to let's get it going.
I've been looking forward to his commentary.
Mm-hmm.
Picante spice, to be honest, it's gonna be interesting because spicy is not it's not gonna be so spicy today, but I'm gonna add a little bit today. So anyway,
Mm.
my name is Louis, aka Spicy. Um Louis is the life jog, and we just share our journey of growth in marriage and everything that we're doing in our life. And we're glad to be part of the we're glad to be
Mm.
I'm glad to be part of the of the of the panel here today for a great conversation. And yeah, I'm just trying to bring some spice, a little bit of mild spicy, a little bit of picante today because I can't wait to hear what y'all have to share. Okay. These are the
She ready.
goodness.
Yes.
Ready.
Anyway,
That's
let's go.
awesome.
Let's go.
Let's
What
go.
let's start with the spice because this is a hot topic today.
Yeah. Let's get it, man. Let's get it.
First
Let's
of
get it in.
all, first of all, who wanna
Uh-oh.
jump in first?
Listen.
Okay, go ahead, Nali. Go ahead.
No. Go ahead. Go ahead. No,
No,
I
you.
want you to go ahead. Say your piece, because once I get going, I'm like, nope.
So I was just gonna ask like, whoever like had sex with an ex, maybe not just for sex. You're like, you had an ex, and then things happen. You get met
That's a good start.
again, and then boom.
That's a good start. It's
It's
like,
just
Raise
speak
your
it from
hand.
experience or not.
Kalita is like threading water. She's just like, you guys,
She's over here.
you were with somebody, and then you know, and then boom, right?
Trying
He's
to stay
like ready
afloat.
for the trap, ready for the joke.
Oh my God.
He's blushing. So Anyway, I'm gonna start it. I think that's why I said today spicy is not gonna be so spicy because I don't really have that. Okay, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I had one relationship before my marriage. Okay, one, and yes, at some point I entertained. Well, at the time was my ex for just entertaining, just trying to go back together because eventually I didn't believe that the relationship was over,
Mm.
but I guess it was kind of like my illusion from my head, and and then with time I was entertained to go back together, but there wasn't really any after we broke up, there wasn't really any activity happening. So was that entertaining in my head? Yes, but it's just because I was foolish, and I would say
Mm.
that we kind of like take a stand in the conversation tonight. Is it okay to go back just for sexual relationship? I would say, to be honest, no, because if it's over, it's over,
Mm.
and I'm gonna leave it there for now, and I'm gonna hear what everybody has got to say because some people are blushing here tonight. So
Ooh.
Who's
Ooh.
blushing?
I hear somebody threading water. I see somebody threading water here.
Anyway,
Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah, this is.
the Spice got.
Was like,
I have like three kind of jumping points. When I
okay.
saw this topic come on the docket, I was like, huh. Um, one,
like,
one. So I've never had this experience. I've never had this experience because I've only been with my wife ever. So I don't know. I don't have it. But I do. But so my question is, where's this question coming from? First off.
Mm.
The second thing is, I think there's two parts in it. There's the X part and there's the sex part. And I think I want to talk about those three things and kind of like hit them, not just in a general thing, but actually talk about each of those three things.
Segments.
So,
Okay.
so I'll just give you my quick thing and then we can get into it. One, with the X, there's some reason why that's an X and not the one. So let's explore what's that.
Valid point.
Then the second one with the sex part.
hold on, I'm taking notes.
Okay.
I'm kidding.
Yeah.
This is my girl. Turn the recorder on.
And the second one I was thinking about is with the sex part. You know, as Christians, there's a way that most Christians think about sex, and I think it's different than the idea of like lust. I think the idea is different, and the reason why I think it's important to kind of talk about that is because I think that we kind of confuse that, and being a Christian person, the question I want to always bring up is, so what we always talk about what not to do, but the question is what can you and what should you do? So I want to talk about that too. But I guess the first thing for me is, where does this question even come from? You know, so I guess there's like a way to, you could really start at any of them and just go. It's kind of like a circle thing, like a cycle. But that was the first thing that I was like, well, where does this question come from? You know, what is the first reason for this question? Before, that's usually what I think. Like if someone were to come into so I'm a pastor, so if somebody came into my office and asked me, hey, do you think it's okay for me to go back to my ex if I, just for sex? The first thing I'm not gonna first be like, yeah, it's cool, or no, that's horrible. I'm gonna say, why are you thinking this? Why are you considering this?
Okay, I see what you're talking about. So what you're talking about, like where did it come from? Where is that origin within that person? Where their mentality is?
Like why is this their question? Like what's making them think of this as an option?
What's turning the wheels behind this particular question?
Yeah.
No, that's definitely good.
You know what? The one thing that happened when I was in school, I remember somebody, I had a book I was reading, and it was like, listen, there's no one answer to a question. There's not even one. There's multiple ways to answer the same question. You can answer it biologically, psychologically. You can do it medically. I mean, there's a lot of different ways that you can think about it, a question based on what are the motivations for somebody asking the question. So that's where I start.
That's a good starting place. That is a good starting place, because I think it says a lot about what your intentions are. Mm-hmm. Because sometimes, to be honest, people already have an answer to a question before they even asking it. They're really looking for somebody to co-sign. Mm-hmm. Or they're looking, and then when somebody doesn't co-sign, it's kind of like you judging me. You know what I mean? So that's the reality. So I think that's a good place to start. I do think that's a great place to start. I think
the shallow answer, shallow, non-thinking answer is we're Christians, so no.
Right. There's
not a lot of thought going into that.
We're not, very true. I think that we're not that surface level or superficial, I should say, anymore. Like now we really got to dig deep. Yeah. Especially with what's, all that's going on in the world today. You're not helping nobody by not really saying exactly what you said. Let's talk about it and see where you're coming from about this. Mm-hmm. So I'll give my viewpoint, and then Carlita, you can go after me. So I think for me, I've been on that spectrum. I have been here. And I think I've been on the side where I had both opinions on it, like yay and nay. But I do think that it's easy to just be like, nope, sorry, no. But I think that it does involve a deeper level of digging. It does involve and I think what Louis said was good. Like, this person's an X for a reason. So there has to be a reason in which this door was closed. And that makes me think about closure in general. Was there actually a level of closure? Was there things that are addressed? Like, people break up and they move on, and then you don't really address issues. And then when things are lingering, as in my experience, that's how, then it becomes let's have a discussion, and then it leads into way much more than it needs to be. If you're done, you're done. And that's what it is. But I think that it is something that is a complicated topic that you can't just be like, no. And my personal opinion, though, I feel like it's a negative. Like, just don't. Just because it's opening up channels to things that, we can get into a whole discussion about the soul ties and things that are attached to why you shouldn't be doing, especially with somebody that you've already let go of. And then you kind of reforming those things that you've let have bygones be bygones. But now what you're doing is rekindling and open up a door for a whole bunch of more stuff. And you now may be in a different season of your life. Mm-hmm. And allowing, because let's get down to the nitty gritty about it. When you're allowing this physical element to now affect the other levels of spiritual development, personal development, any other development areas in your life, but you're really putting that to the side for this moment of like, I feel great. Is it worth all that? Is it worth all that? And my answer is niet, 9, no, none. Let me say it in every language that I'm familiar with. That's where I stand on it. Carlita?
I hear you. And I think for me, it's more like, we've been there. And most of the time, it's because you kind of want this relationship to either like rekindle or continue, or like pick back up wherever it was left. And, but like, there is a reason why it was an X, right? So I think in the French version, I was explaining how one of the tricks when you get to that emotional part, because we are like emotional beings. So of course, like if you see your ex again, especially if the sex was good, you see what I mean? And then
listen, I wasn't even trying to go there so soon in this conversation.
We need to go there. I mean, that's
I was about to ease my way into that, but
I just dropped like boom in there.
Just drop it in.
You're dropping the bombs.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
So especially if the sex was good, and then you are in a season where maybe you're not having any, or it's dry.
You're just frustrated with your process.
Exactly. So you of course like go from having a conversation like, hey, it's been a long time, let's catch up, to drinks, and then next thing you know, It
What
happened.
happened?
Well,
Look
so I
at
think
Louis'
like
face.
like for me, like being immature, I would say like in my work and kind of knowing what I wanted or
Mhm.
didn't want and how I wanted it. I fell into that. So for me
Mhm.
today, it's still a no. But the reason why it's still a no, I think, is what matters, because that's kind of what helps you to ground yourself into your decision, right? So it's a no because I know the spiritual, emotional, physical, and
Listen.
all the other aspects of the and consequences of going back to that kind of like um trap where you like, okay, is just for sex, and is that worth your time? Is that worth your energy? For I'm not gonna like put a timing on it, like for that time of pleasure that you're having and feeling good, and right after you're like, oh my god, what did I do? So there are so many different feelings, so many
Mhm.
different like emotions that are attached to that. And plus the thing is, what when you're doing that, then I feel like, even like on the spiritual level, uh, being Christian or not, whatever your belief is that you are holding yourself anchored in the past and not allowing yourself to move forward into another relationship.
Right.
So I think that's one of the most important things for me, is like you are not like, taking time to detox from that relationship, cut that tie. So you always have that person around, and then you cannot meet somebody, or you cannot even move forward because you still like want things to happen the way it was happening before. But there is a reason why that didn't work, right? So
Right.
that's number one. Number two for me is also the fact that before taking like a vow of celibacy or whatever, like if sex is what is holding you to a person, then what else do you have?
Mm,
Listen.
mm.
What else is there?
The
Is there a
substance.
connection without sex? Is there like, can you guys talk? Can you guys still have fun, communicate, and talk? Even talk about sex without having sex? Can you guys, like, be playful? Can you guys do stuff that are not all related to sex and
Right.
And
create
can
like
I
a
can I can I
bound and a
just
relationship? Go ahead, Nadi.
can I just also add in with what you're saying is learning how to have intimacy in an area that's not physical. So if you can't have that in other areas and your only thing is like this physical intimacy, it does say a lot about what other substance there is. So you make a great point with that.
Mm, yeah, not just physical. I would say that at that point, like, like, especially when you're bounding with somebody on a level that is out, not even like spiritual, that's very platonic, you can have a very strong bound, and
Yeah.
nothing but sex. And then you have also that aspect where everything is just sex. So I think the most of us sometimes have felt into that, having sex with the ex, especially as women, because somewhere somehow we thought like, yo, this is gonna go
It's
bad.
gonna work. This is
Yeah,
gonna
well,
work.
it's gonna work this time. you know. Hi, Dominic. Good
Hey,
to
you
see
saw
you.
both Louis and my face when you said that, right?
Right. I was looking at you guys like, yup. Because y'all know, we be thinking it's that magic tool, like this is about to do it. And it's like, nah, sis, nah.
Hi, Dominic. Good to
Hi,
see
Hi,
Dominic.
Dominique.
you.
Welcome
So
back.
good to see you.
Thank you.
Victory. Victory.
Victory. Yes. I'm so glad to be back. I'm so glad to get into this conversation with you all.
Listen,
Yes.
we are glad to have you. So, what do you think about the subject today?
Listen, I mean, I've been there where
Mhm.
you think that, just stay in that, keep that contact, that sexual contact, but the intention behind it was always manipulation, and it was
Mm,
an agenda.
Mm.
So
She
this
said
is,
it.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah. So I think it's not a good reason. I don't think you should do it.
mm,
I don't think you should do it. And then spiritually, if you want to add the spiritual piece to it, um, when I reached a place where I was no longer gonna just be available in these casual relationships, and just no longer, decide to practice abstinence, then I understood on a deeper level, the thing that led me to that was just that every single time you have these sexual encounters, it's not just sex. It is taking on everything. It's literally taking on everything that the person is, and then you're giving everything that you are. And so it's never a clean break. You leave a part of you behind and you take a part of them with you. So it's never a clean break. And so for me, it got to a place where it was just, I couldn't keep up. I couldn't do it anymore. And so then I had to shut down shop.
Yeah.
Do not enter sign. Do not enter.
Closed for repairs right now, right?
Closed for repairs. That's a good one.
That's a good one.
That's a good one.
So true.
Wow. And I think even like, I don't know if you have any scientific here, but like even on the, like, you know, like I feel like on the physical level, like as women, we are the receivers, right? So I feel like when you have like sex with somebody, like you do exchange like, I won't say like sweat, you know, like
bodily fluid.
Bodily
fluid. Exactly.
Yeah.
So the person, like I don't know where I read it, but it says that everybody you have sex with as a woman, especially, that person DNA is in you.
Yeah.
So when I thought about that, I was like, oh my God.
I think that needs to be, that's what the PSA should be.
Exactly.
Not accepting DNA today.
Yeah.
Worried about pregnancy. Okay, worried about carrying around people's DNA for the rest of your life.
No, but that's how rape cases are solved, because there is DNA left behind. When they do a rape kit swabs you, and they're able to match the DNA that's inside of you that was deposited from your partner, and they can determine whether or not you've been there. So there's a trace, right? And that tells you someone has been there. Don Dees has been here, even if he says he wasn't here.
Right.
Look at Don Dees' face.
Like, yeah, well, I wasn't there, but yeah.
Louis, what do you have to say?
I totally agree with whatever y'all say. I mean, it's sex is a very intimate act. It's a very intimate act. It takes a lot from both of the people involved into it. And I think that if people decide to get back into doing that activity, it means that they have a reason. They have the reason that they probably, if you're going into it not thinking long term, then you're not really thinking rationally. And I think that if you just decide to stay in a relationship just for the act of having a sexual encounter, then I feel like you are doing a disservice to your future self. So again, you're talking to somebody that didn't really have a lot of experience in that field. So all I can say is I can only speak theory at this point, and I'm just listening and just like plugging in.
There is another thing that, you know, sorry to cut you on this.
No,
like, just a minute, like once we done talking about this whole sex for X, like I read something 2 days ago, Nali, and I think I shared it with you this morning. And I also want to touch on that because I feel like how we define relationship and, you know, sexuality is changing as culture evolves. And I'm here like, what's happening? Like, what's happening? And I feel like most of it is not something that was not done before. It's just like something that is now being made public because people are more comfortable just sharing who they are, what they're doing without hiding it anymore. It's like those kind of like settings when somebody is okay with having relationship with like multiple partners and their partner is also okay with that.
They call that body count nowadays.
Listen, it's just like
nowadays, like, what's your body count? And did I shoot a bunch of people? Like, what's up with that? Yes, you did. Anyway,
the polyamorous. It's like I can be in love with many people. I mean, Jada Pinkett Smith's daughter, Willow, she was on their show and she said,
I didn't want to call names, but like, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, it's public. It's on the show. They were on Table Talk on Wednesday, and she said, "I am polyamorous, and I want to have the freedom to choose many and not
The
just
apple doesn't fall too far from the tree. I mean, she learned it from both mom and dad. So at the end of the day, you know,
Oh
it's
my
not.
God.
That's what I said in the text today. I was like, well,
I mean, it's both mom and dad do that. So what they can
they're
do?
gonna co-sign it, and they're gonna make it seem like it's the greatest thing in the world.
It's normal, and that's the thing. It's like, what is normal now? And so it's like, if we're living in a world where people find just like casual sex as a normal thing, then we have to redefine how we even ourselves. Let's say for a person that's going through a breakup and wants to go back, are you doing it just because it's just a normal activity as breathing? It's a need that you need to fulfill, or are you doing it with the intention of, okay, I'm going back to tie myself back with the person, because that you're really tying yourself with the person emotionally. And like Carlita said, if it's good, you're gonna dream about it, then you're gonna want more. That's it. It's just like the favorite restaurant. When it's good, you want to go back and get some more.
Listen, I was gonna say it's almost like an addiction, because there's a chemical reaction that comes from it, and that chemical reaction will have you not thinking rationally because you're too, you got that tunnel vision going on. It's so true. It's so true.
What do you guys think are the more reasons? Is it more like I want to rekindle something, or is it more I got a physical need I need to get satisfied? What do you think?
I think you can have both
time?
depending on the people.
Say again?
I think you can have both. I think you can have both depending on the people.
Yeah.
So
Both.
I share this like with a couple of people in different groups, for example, right? And in one of the group, like the conversation went on, and one of the thing was like, I'd rather eat something that I know what it tastes like versus trying something new that I don't know if I'm gonna like. That was one of the reactions.
That you ate gave you a stomach ache before.
Right.
You know that it gave you like a bad stomach ache. That's the thing that kills me. But then you still going to go eat it again because you forgot how bad you felt at the time. You see what I mean? So I think it's a blend of the two. I wouldn't say so much number two versus number one, because I feel like we all have some element of self-control in our lives. But I think that
have you ever eaten leftover pizza?
Yeah, it's horrible.
No, it's good. It depends on what pizza where you get it from. So sometimes you go back and it tastes so much better. So that's the thing, is like the person that's eating the leftover pizza is gonna be good. And I think that's kind of the way it goes.
I know. So hey, but the good, is it the taste only, or is it the taste plus the digestion plus the what's this going on? So if we're gonna keep going on the food analogies, what like, is the stomach ache worth it?
Right. And is it just that you remember what it tasted like when you first had it, and you just have this mindset that that's what it's gonna taste like again? Because that's what you condition yourself to believe.
And especially when you don't have the food around. Especially when you don't have the food around. So also sometimes you don't have the food and you're looking at it like, man, this is the only food I can eat. We just went into
You better drink some water.
You better get on the internet and look at a cookbook.
But no, people like hey, this is America, man. People like that how you call it again? Fast food. So fast food is easy. That's got a drive-through. You got drive-through, you got fast food, and that's what you want. That's basically fast food. That's it.
That drive-through.
So you get what you get from fast food.
Have you guys, anybody that's had that experience, you found that it's easy, like it's easy to hook up with that person again? Or is it actually like you know what? This is where I think I'm gonna go. Let me get my plan in motion because I know it's gonna take a minute to get it cracking. Or is part of it like this is easy?
It depends on the chemistry that you have with the person.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's familiar. I think anything familiar
Right.
there's an advantage to familiarity.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't make it okay, but I think that it's familiar, and I think sometimes people find themselves like Carlita said, I know this thing, I know how it goes down, I know that it's satisfactory, and but then sometimes people use it to foster the relationship. Like I want to get back with him. Let me just break him off something. Let's see if this will make it work. But it never does.
It might be like it's a interact
like a barter.
Yeah. What's the word I'm looking? Transactional.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Hi,
I think what I would also
just
say.
to say.
Oh, go ahead.
So Adisa couldn't join today in the panel, but she's in the comment and she has a question.
I see her. Yeah.
So now, once you're done with your point, like I think we can answer the question.
Yeah. I think what I would say is that once that like element of euphoria wears off, because that familiarity like that you guys are talking about creates this like it's nostalgic. I know this, I'm familiar with this, it makes me feel great, but you don't remember the bad parts about it because you're in that element of like this is great. But I think that once that wears off, because true and be told, even in my situations that I've been in, you come to now realize what caused the issue in the beginning because that thing is still there. After euphoria is gone, whatever that thing that irked you before is still there, and there's no way to ignore it. Of course, you're going to be squeaking with the toy when I got to. I'm like, so there's no way to ignore that because that initial like comfort stage fades away, like that newness. Even if it's an old relationship, you haven't seen each other in forever. And then once you get back into that, then you have to deal with the fact that it's like, ugh, you know what I mean? How do I, okay, sir, okay. How do I, get away from this? And how do I like, okay, this is how do I, and I think this is a good segue into the question that Adisa's asking about, what advice would you give about falling back into that cycle? Know that the euphoria ends, girl. I'm like, or guy, it doesn't matter. That like, it doesn't last forever, especially if it already lasted once and then that door was closed and now you reopening it back up.
What if it works? What if it works? What if it actually works? Like you try it again and then I don't know, somehow it works.
I think there would have been some discussion prior to
Look at Dominique's face. Like Dominique is like, no.
She's like, that is not going to happen.
Like been there, done that, didn't work.
I think sex can't be the driver for that then. If you're going to the point where it's, I'm not saying it doesn't happen. I'm not saying that people don't like rekindle and they, you can hear stories all the time of people who get divorced and then they get married again and it works out. But sex cannot be that driver. Sex cannot be the thing that is like, this is what's leading us to get back together and all that. There's got to be some type of level of evolve. We've got to have evolved. There's got to be some kind of maturity. We're having a discussion. Doesn't mean that sex isn't part of that process. It just can't be the driver. That's my take on it.
Mm-hmm. The question there about you fall back into the cycle. I'm also wondering. It's like, well, did it sneak up on you? Did you notice? Did you intentionally have this happen?
Or I fell.
Was y'all together and you got drunk and then it happened and the next morning you was like, wait a minute. Okay, well, should I try this again?
Subconscious.
Like because I think it can happen both ways. I think it can happen both ways. Spice is shaking his head though.
I think the subconscious is 95% of the brain and the conscious is 5%. So if you're doing it, it means that you have been thinking about it in your subconscious. So
like you've been wanting it.
you've been wanting it. I told you, it's like it's whatever you're thinking about the feelings. And
I felt it, landed on it.
Yeah. Oh man, I was around the corner.
I fell. I just fell, and I don't know what happened.
I didn't. And it was there.
Yeah, it was right there.
Oops.
You know, well, but okay, well, let me go into one of the other things that I was going to start to talk about. So, because here's the issue. Like, one of those things is that you have a need, something physical that's natural, right? And you have a desire from just how we were created, even spiritually, from the beginning of creation, people have had a desire for companionship. So I think you can have like the physical, natural, biological just desire to get satisfied. You have the spiritual desire to be in companionship with somebody. And those things can be really intense, but I think they're still different than the idea of lust, right? So I think lust is something that you're adding this other element into it, which is like a evil, right? So I want to talk about it in that regard, because as a Christian person, I do believe that there are influences that have real impacts on us outside of our empirical world. We call it supernatural because we don't have a way to explain it, but it's actually just natural and it's real, but just beyond what we've set boundaries to understand. But because it is really real, it has an actual impact on us. Whether we understand exactly how that impact works or not, I do believe it is a real impact that we have. And if we don't acknowledge that, I think it becomes very difficult for us to try to figure out how to navigate some of those things. So I think part of the wanting to go back to something kind of an addiction, those things have to be talked about also in a way of, like, in a spiritual way too. Because what the church does is we'll say, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this, don't. Then what are people supposed to do? Because they still have everything else is real. The feeling is real. The desire for companionship is real and natural and not evil. But because you got this like spiritual sort of oppression almost in your mind, you are sitting there trying to figure out, okay, well, what do I do? Because I this is a hard existence to try and have these very real things, yet I don't know. But yet I'm told I'm not supposed to do anything. All I have to do is it's just about self-control and restraining myself, and that's it.
But this is the thing. So you just hit the nail on the head. It is the opportunity to master your being, to master your body, to master your desires, to master your wants, to master your needs. Because even in a period of, like, let's say singleness, where you're mastering these things, you're doing it now for the benefit of later. Because if you don't master self-control in marriage, you will, in singleness, you will not be able to master self-control in marriage, period. So when you're single and you're saying, I'm denying myself something that I really want, it's not going to stop when you say I do. You're still going to want someone that you're not married to. And you're going to have to say, I'm denying myself that. I'm denying myself sending a selfie of my body to a church member. I'm denying that desire to send her, a selfie. I'm denying this desire. So I don't think it's a what do I do? Woe is me. No. If you don't have the perspective, you'll think, what do I do? These are natural feelings. Yeah, they are natural feelings, but they're not going to go anywhere. They're there. So they're there. People think, oh, if I master self-control now, I don't have to worry about it later. No. In your single journey, you master self-control, but the mastery of self-control, the understanding of self-control, the pursuit of self-control is something that will last you a lifetime, because you'll have to master your self-control in money. You'll have to master self-control in business decisions. You'll have to master self-control in rearing children. You'll have to, when I want to whack my kid, like, I I have to say, whoa, calm down. It's the same thing when I'm like, okay, I really want to go out here and get some. Whoa, that's really not the right thing to do. So it's constantly it's self-control, but it's not self-condemnation. It's self-control, because we have to understand that not everything we want is good for us. Not everything we desire is desirable.
I agree with you, but I want to push back. I want to push back on something.
Push back.
But before you push back, Don, can I just say something?
Go ahead. Yeah.
On what Justin, Dominic said. I think one of the things that we do, like, is, I do understand that aspect, Dominic, of like, discipline for your purpose and, having the mastery of yourself. But like, I think there is also one thing that we have to acknowledge is the fact that some of those people who have what we call lust in church, in the church environment, we see it as lust because we kind of like judge what it is, but like, you don't know what the deeper wound is. Like, where did that came from? Like, why is this person doing this?
Yeah.
And like, I think it comes from like a lack of identity or a loss of identity, of like knowing who you are.
Yeah.
Knowing what your purpose is. I think it's easier to be disciplined when you have a clear understanding of what your purpose is and you accept it. Because it's one thing to know it, and it's another thing to actually accept that, this is who I am and this is what I'm called to do, versus being, this is what I'm called to do, but I really don't feel like it. And therefore, I'm going to do everything that I can physically, it's like, for me, it's part of like being suicidal. Okay. I'm going to kill myself, not by taking drugs, but just by doing anything that I can not to become everything that I can be.
Yeah, that's good.
So it's easy to talk about loss. It's easy to say, yeah, but like, for me, it's always a matter of like, not judging what I see or what people do, but like the why of it. Like the deeper, like why are you doing this? Why are you making these choices? Knowing that this is not the best choice for you, but like you're still making those choices. So I want to understand, like, what is happening in your head? Like, how did you get there? And can I take you out of there and bring you back to a level where you actually value yourself enough to know that you are worth not falling into the trap and just like landing on it.
But are people really going that deep though?
Yeah,
we have to go that deep.
That's what my pushback is. It's not even at that deep level.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. If
I
you're
totally
married,
get your point, but
if you're married, you have a person to help you satisfy some of those needs. If you're not married, you now have to try to figure out what you're going to do. So I'm saying that because I'm thinking in the mindset of people that maybe they are single and they're trying to do their best. So it's not even like it's like a feel bad for me, feel sorry for me. This is, I have to figure out how to manage this. I had, for example, I had a friend that told me, so I was a missionary out, when I came out of college. And when I came back and started working and doing everything, I had some friends who were also missionaries, and they would have a really tough time because they really missed the place where they were, and they would be crying sometimes, and they'd really have, and I could not understand it. I was like, why are you struggling so much with this? I mean, you did it. You knew you were going to be there for a year, and then you came back. And one of my friends pointed out to me, he says, well, here's the difference between their situation and yours. You actually married somebody from the place where you were a missionary, and you have all kinds of ties and connections back to that. Whatever need, whatever connection, whatever was going on with you in that place, that's not absent from you. You actually still have part of that resource. You still have that connection. So when I'm now thinking about it in terms of sex, I'm asking the question: you've got people that if they're trying to do their best based on their kind of like Christian restraint rules, how do they navigate this thing? If I'm married, I got a way. I have an avenue that is sanctioned and legitimate to deal with that need. But what's the advice? Because I think that can be part of the reason why people are doing this. So what is our advice to those that do not have that? I mean, I think married people do have an advantage in that regard. That's why I hate when married people are like getting on single people so much about you get no fornication. I was like,
I
man,
mean, even
you
so,
got
honestly,
yours. You can get yours whenever you want.
Yeah, but the
Give me
same
something
time,
helpful.
even
but
so,
the same
some
time,
of them still go
you
outside of
wouldn't
the
have
marriage to do stuff.
exactly.
So
You
Right.
wouldn't have a Carl Lentz running Hillsongs, New York, and having a whole wife for a very long time and sleeping with a parishioner who had been to the church twice. So yeah, he can have his needs met, but again, it comes down to mastery. It comes down to self-control, and if you don't have it, you will not succeed even in your marriage. So just because you have booty in the bed doesn't mean you can't have a side booty. They have it all the time. So that's not an argument that we could even have, because I don't look at married person as a single woman. I don't look at married people like, oh, they're all set. I do not. I've seen enough married people fall from grace all day long. So I don't think they got it all set.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I don't think they have it all set either.
I don't think that they're like, oh, they can't say anything to me because they got a pair of thighs in the bed every night. I could care less, because I know they can have a pair of thighs in the bed and get greedy and want another pair of thighs in somebody else's bed. Period. So
yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that.
How do we master? We master by making a decision, by knowing what it is that I want in the long term. It took me a while to get here, and I was talking to someone who is younger or who is newly in this desire to, hold it down so that you can figure out what it is you're worth, figure out what it is you want, figure out what it is you deserve. It's wise to not get tangled up while you're figuring it out. It's just not a good combination.
Yeah, I agree. So what I'm saying is there are people that are in that process. So what is our advice to them, our helpful advice to them, other than don't do this?
I think that answers the question that James asked about. Like, I mean, how do you go about mastering self-control?
She said something. Yeah. She said something. Wait. No, Dominique came with the fire. Dominique, she said something. Can you please repeat that again?
No. I was saying do it, and then you'll figure out it's a bad idea, because you can't. It's hard. It's just like telling a kid, "Don't put your hand in the fire. Don't put your hand in the fire. It's hot. It's hot. It's hot." And eventually, you're gonna catch that kid trying to figure out. Let me see for myself. So there's a lot of let me see for myself that has to be done. It's unavoidable. And so I think we can set up the parameters for people that want advice, but at the end of the day, there's that element of let me see for myself. It's just
listen, Eve did it. So if Eve did it, it's happening.
I had to see for myself. You know what I mean? So I think the thing that Dondees, I think that one thing that we don't do is understand that there's an element of let me see for myself that's come into play. That's human.
I think we need to be okay with that too. Letting people have their own experience and judging for themselves instead of like trying to judge or let them know what we think based on our experiences. I think it's like life is a better teacher than sometimes when you tell people what to do.
I think so.
Absolutely. I just want to add something. Since seeing that we're taking it from the Christian perspective, I really feel like one of the reasons why a lot of young people in the church struggle with sex is because they haven't been taught about their body. They haven't been taught about their body, about themselves. And that's why when we go into the fruit of the spirit, self-control is one of them. When you really dive into it, it's like if you want to dissect things based on on our own physiological needs, I think that if we understand ourselves and know what we need, what we want, how to love ourselves. I think that once we understand how to love ourselves, we going to be able to make the right decision if this is good for me or if it's not good for me. And then that's going to even give us the tool and the power to stand tall and say, you know what, I'm not going to do this because here's a benefit, this is the advantage, this is the pros and the cons, and this is what this can put me as a person. So I think that we need to start teaching our young people first how to love themselves outside of the church parameter. Teach them self-love, like how to really truly know themselves, their trigger, things that they
So
don't like, things they don't like, things
I
they
want
love,
to
their emotions. Yeah.
so I want to jump on that and say I think all of those people that are trying to give people advice on how to deal with themselves sexually need to take that route. Don't tell me how to control my body and not have sex, and I don't want to hear that from you. I want to hear some helpful tips like, okay, let's talk about self-worth. Yeah, let's talk about what it is to have goals, set goals, and talk about the roadblocks and the things like that. Let's talk about the idea that, okay, yeah, sometimes it's you might try things out for yourself, and that's really the only way that you're going to get it. Like, I want to have those kind of conversations in the church instead of the church just saying don't.
But you know, can I
want
add
to say something
something?
before my phone dies. I'm going to say something before my phone dies, and then I'm going to connect with the computer. Here's the thing. That's why I think we need to add the element of psychology, human psychology, into
Yep.
churching.
Yeah.
All the leaders in churches have to fully understand human psychology, because, again, the need of sexual activity start when you are 10, 11, 12, 13. So how, like, the thing is that instead of suppressing it, we got to teach the people, the young people, that this is the need that you have, and this is one way, for example, that you can enjoy yourself outside of those needs. Yes, like, what do people do when they have a sexual urge and they cannot have the sexual urge? They can go for a run to increase the level of oxytocin, whatever. They can go get they can do certain activities to fulfill certain needs, or to fulfill that need somehow. So you can find a way to enjoy yourself, but it has to be taught to you from a cycle. I think it has to make
Yep.
it make sense in your mind. And once it make sense, then the young person is not gonna be like, oh, I'm gonna do this. If I do this, it's bad. But I see the person right here do, or I see the deacon right there screwing with the sister or the mother. It's like, and then it's like, oh, if they can do it and then they're saved and they can come back and continue with their life, then I can screw on the side too. So things have to start making sense,
Right.
and we cannot just stand behind hell or heaven,
Right.
because young people are still gonna try to do it for themselves, to see, man, these people are doing it and they're having fun, and I'm gonna do it for myself. But if you show them what the worth is, how to love themselves, I think that's one way to kind of like
Right.
we guide them to the right direction.
I think the point. Go
Oh,
ahead.
go ahead, Nadi. I was
No,
just
I
gonna
think.
say,
Go ahead, girl. Go ahead.
I was just gonna like ask Adisa very quickly. I know she's in the comments. She's not on right now, but like as a scientist, like I feel like there are ways to trick our brain into not falling into the I would say like the carnal aspect of life. So I would like her to do like a comment on that and let us know what she thinks about it.
Mm-hmm. And I think while she's doing that, I think the thing what I was going to say, that it also requires like evolution of thought, because we are, in the church now, we have a whole bunch of different generations. And to keep in mind is that the thing that I don't like as well, as far as not my generation, but more the generation before me, was that whatever these physical desires or things that the generation, underneath me is experiencing, those folks also experience them themselves. But the problem is that when you don't deal with it in a healthy way, so whatever way in which they dealt with it is what they feel like that was the right way to do it. And so now when they see the opposite side of the spectrum, where this generation is like, well, everybody's going to know everything that I feel, and I'm going to tell everybody everything. Like, who says that's wrong? It's wrong because you've been taught that way, and the church has just kind of stayed in this particular cycle of thought about this is the way that it should be. And and the only times that I see that it is successful is where you see more of a younger I'm just a seasoned pastor that's kind of taken the time to say, I can see that way, that school of thinking. I can see this school of thinking, and I can relate to it and not judge you on it. But here's the, like we're talking about, here's the things that I would suggest, but it doesn't mean like that's the end all be all and now you're condemned to hell because this is what you're going to do. Because I mean, we saw this whole Nas X situation. We've seen what happened when it's like people just didn't acknowledge, the questions or feelings or things that he was experiencing at a particular time and just kind of shut it down, not having an evolution of thought, that's of the devil. And then look how that turns out, because all it required was not, you shouldn't do that, but let me acknowledge where you are. And that, I think, is somewhere where the church has not really progressed as well, as far as having that aspect of evolution, where it's like, at one point we thought this, that may be that, but times are changing. If your product that you bought at the store, I won't even go with food, but whatever it is, a cleaning product, and they've got the same product, but they've got a new packaging and they've changed their formula a little bit to provide something better, you're still going to embrace that because you're like, oh, it used to do that, but now it does this, and it actually might work a little bit better. But that, that's a real simple metaphor, but in the scope of things, that's not how people think. Automatically, it's like what you're doing right now is wrong, and A, B, and C, and that's it. And that's why you see a lot of what's going on right now, because people are not even being acknowledged to have that opportunity to be like, this is what I think. This might be different.
Yeah, I would love for the church church leadership, I should say, really, to be able to do things like how Dominique's pointing out. Sometimes people they'll do their thing. You know what church actually does that? It's amazing to think about, because these are the most strictest people ever. The Quakers. The Quakers, man. They got it. The Quakers, man. Yeah. They're like, you know what? We have a very strict kind of way of life, but they recognize the natural desires of people, and you can't just trust what I'm telling you. They actually formally have a way. Now, I don't know if that's the best way to do it, but they formally have a way to say, look, do your own research. Take your time out and see if this is really how you feel you can best live life. That is actually it's old, but it's also innovative at the same time in terms of ministering to people and their development. So
that's not really the same as the Amish, is it? Is that different?
Yeah, Amish, yeah.
It's the Amish folks. Okay, that's what I was thinking. Yeah, because I saw the documentary about this room Spriga thing that they give
that's the real thing.
To the world.
Yeah.
I was like, that's amazing.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think that just goes back to the idea of knowledge is power, and so, it's also scripture, my people perish for lack of knowledge. I think it's important to find out, to get information. And I think your other point, the other point was someone said about understanding that given the tools, which I would say advice is for example, the DNA advice. If you just told a young person, it's listen, DNA gets transferred in there, real talk. I think even just that, it gives you a picture of what is actually happening. And then maybe just having that understanding, I know a family, they have 3 boys and they raise their sons, they're Christian, and they raise their sons to protect your seed at all costs. And it's basically don't go sticking it everywhere, because whoever you stick it with, whenever you go there, there's a possibility that you're going to have a baby and you're going to be stuck with that person, So they just raised them with this idea of protect your seed. And I used to be so impressed by that, because they had this understanding that they're just not walking around with a desire, but they're walking around with a legacy. They're walking around with seed. They're walking around with, something that can become something else. And I think that one understanding, even at 10 years old, 11 years old, 12, but that's all they ever heard. You mean to tell me when they're in a compromising situation, they're not going to hear protect your seed? They're going to hear protect your seed. And that was just giving them information.
Yeah.
That's good.
I had a friend one time. I don't know if this was too ambitious when he was like a younger pastor, but he wanted to like have condoms and have those talks for his youth group.
Oh, I can see the
like,
church
look,
going
man,
off on that one.
I know we said don't do it. We believe you shouldn't do it. However, this box is over here because there's some more important things that, like, what's that? I don't know. I saw on TikTok that one where they're like, girl, don't do it. I'm not going to do it.
I'm not going to do it.
I'm not going to. I did it. I did it. It's like, no, some people are going to do it. So why not be the help that could prevent possibilities of being worse? Because the whole thing was everybody was like, how dare you bring that into the church? That's not our message. It's like, I know that's not our message, but can we still help people?
The evolution of thought.
I love that, Don B's. I love that.
That's so good.
Start I don't know what you're going to start, but it just needs to hurry up and come on, because that is practical teaching in the 21st century. Welcome to the 21st century, because what we've done before is not going to work now. And how dare us think that God is the same from before, that he's not going to get creative, that he's not going to be innovative, that he's going to keep us stuck in our old way of thinking. How dare us think that, he's not 21st century.
And Dominique, it didn't work before.
Exactly.
They just had longer dresses, and so-and-so was sick for a few months. They went to visit Uncle so-and-so, and then they come back and hallelujah,
they had
what
the
has
same
happened?
urges. They had the same things.
Facts.
And the worst of it is like
lying to themselves.
Yeah,
Right.
and the worst of it is that on a social, like, cultural aspect of it, like you find like so much dysfunction because of the lies and the things that are not like talked about like openly, and the taboos that are created around sex. Like you have some families where the mother is actually the sister, or like the grandmother is actually like, I don't know, like the aunt, whatever. Like so much things that are messed up, or like children that have been abused, but because we never talk about sex in the family, you cannot even talk about it as a children, because you cannot say that this uncle or this auntie or this friend of the family has touched me in ways that I didn't feel comfortable with, because we never have to talk conversation with children. And I think one of the lives that we had like earlier when we were doing this show, we talked about like, shall we talk about like sex with children? And I think it comes back to this, like knowing who you are, knowing your identity, not just like, my purpose and all that, but also your body. What is allowed? Like, what are the boundaries? Like, what is okay for me to do with my body, for somebody else to do or not to do with my body? I think like creating those dialogues and creating that kind of like education where people can actually know themselves, not just on a spiritual and purpose level, but also on a like, okay, tangible, earthly, being grounded aspect of like, this is who I am. I have this desire. I'm this and I'm that and I'm that. And because I know my strengths and also my weaknesses, then I'm able to work and navigate through life according to, whatever I have in me, the tools that I have, and the purpose or the goals that I'm trying to reach. Knowing everything that I have, everything that I don't have, everything that I am, everything that I'm not, so that I can equip myself like knowingly. Again, knowledge is power. My people perish for the lack of like knowledge. Again, we think about that and we think that is knowledge, like reading books. That is great, but you also have to know, life.
And what would excite me so much is if a young person knows that if they mess up, they can actually talk to you about it, and you're not gonna condemn them.
Yeah.
If they could come and be like, man, I really messed up and I really, really need some help, and you actually just talk to them and help them through the situation.
Yeah. That's so true. So good.
Man, I would love that.
I think even in parenting, that's like a thing you have to learn to do, because they'll just continue to hide stuff. They're going to continue to do exactly what they're doing, and they may go to somebody else who's not going to give them the best counsel.
Yeah.
Because of that, you know what I mean? So you have to be realistic, but that puts the onus on you as the individual to be mature and evolve and say, you know what? Let me check myself before not only am I going to wreck myself, but I'm wrecking somebody else.
Yeah.
You know,
and that's in scripture too, because Jesus is like, y'all are the ones who have the knowledge, and you won't follow it yourself. But not only do you not follow it yourself, you actually block everybody else from all the good news, all the good vibes, and now they got to suffer just because of your selfishness. Yeah, we gotta evolve. Yeah,
it's crazy.
So it's coming crazy. Out of like the church and the church talk of it, like, let's talk about like some people who are not maybe churchy or all that, like, and let's go back to like the question, like, shall we keep an ex just for sex? So the answer clearly is, this is not like a straight yes or no answer, but like, is preferably no, right? Because
we get to Dundee's 3 because he had 3 things. Do we get to your 3rd thing?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like a cycle, because everything sort of informs itself. Like, I think even for people that are not like in church, understanding like supernatural influence, I think that's also helpful to them. I mean, because other people, they may talk about it like energy and these kind of things, but I don't know if they ever think of anything beyond just like what's in front of you. Like, I always wonder how do people think about that if you're kind of don't necessarily think about spiritual things, and if you think about everything only in like a empirical, biological, physiological way, like, what do you? I always wonder for them, what do you think is happening right now, and how are you looking at that? Because that goes back to my first question, is like, where is this coming from when you're saying, I'm thinking about going back to an ex for sex?
The real question is, are you really going just for sex? That's my thing. Are you just going just for sex, or are you going because you're trying to rekindle something and you're using sex for it?
Yeah, I think for me, it's in that sense, it's really like keeping an eye on your emotions, because if what's the intentionality behind this? If you didn't get the closure that you had before, like the people that be like, oh, I went to get closure. No, that ain't flying, because you could have got closure. And at this point, and if you really mature in a certain process, you don't need somebody to give you closure. You know what I mean? You send you a text. There's plenty of the ways to get it.
A phone call. There's a
lot of different ways. You don't need to be in person. You don't need to be doing all that and all that. So, but I think a lot of it too is just being like real with your emotions and understanding that if you're choosing to do this, there are things that are unresolved. Because I've already eaten this and I know what it tastes like. We're going back to that same thing, but you know that it gave you a stomachache. So why would you go back to get the same thing that didn't really fulfill that need? Instead of trying to put in the work and find a better dish or something else that you like that could, fulfill you far beyond what you thought. But I mean, it's really about like, where are you as far as your emotional development in doing that? Because it says a lot about trying to go back and open up something that you've already let, go by.
Can anybody think of a pro?
A pro?
I know. Okay, so everybody sees our faces.
Other than the obvious? Like,
everybody sees our faces.
The temporary pro? What about?
Yeah, like, other than the obvious.
20, 30-minute pro?
Exactly. And what I was thinking about, like, I got rebuked last time, is that, how you listen to like a soundtrack and you love it so much that you just put like the repeat mode, and you don't want to move to the next one because this one is just like so good. So I was doing that, and then something just hit me, like, how would you know if the next song is not even better if you stay stuck on this track? I was like,
listen.
So that was a whole word, okay? Like, okay.
You over here, their whole album could be on point, and you stuck on track 1.
Yeah. Whew.
That's a valid point.
You missing
that's
out.
A really good question. Like, a pro? I mean, Like beyond the
what-
level of superficial.
Well, yeah, like Dominique
Certainly.
said, yeah, okay, you get the 30 minutes of fun and excitement and whatever, maybe. But yeah, like if you were to really challenge it, because that's the thing that it's like, it don't matter who you are you gonna lie to yourself or are you gonna be in the reality? Is there actually a pro to this?
Right.
You know?
To hooking up.
I mean,
Yeah.
you're having fun for a few minutes. You're having like, human interaction. You're having like some cuddling and,
I think any other pro would be a justification.
But the thing is that even that pro, is that pro worth, whatever you trying to build
any other
beyond
pro
that?
other than the fact that it's the physical, you're reaching that satisfaction. Anything other than that, I feel would be a justification of the behavior, because it's not closure. It's not, I want to prove a point that I still got it. It's not, it's not, I never got to say these things to you, and I wanted to make sure that I said them. Like, I don't see, to me, I don't see anything that's like, it's not advancing you to somewhere else. Like, you know what I mean? Because, I find it hard to find any other pro other than the obvious, but
then the physical
I'm all ears.
gratification. Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sadly.
Yeah.
We solved this one, guys. We solved it.
Yeah.
I mean, I love what Carlita said about, the next song. That is so powerful, because it's like, you really don't know, like, you're stuck in this thing. You don't know if better is coming, and better can't come until you're done with, best, right?
Repeat mode.
Yeah. And so I think that's so good. And I think that that's even a teaching point where you can say, look, this is just that. What you have right now is just this. But what if what's coming is the full package? Because right now you just have a quarter of a man. You just have a quarter of a thing. You just have one thing. He's not calling you. He's not taking you out. You're just a piece of booty. What if you could have the next person, if you made yourself available, the next person could be a better song. I love that. I love that.
You love it, right? Just tag me on the post.
Yeah. I know everybody's about to steal it. We got different graphics, but it's the same.
All right, just tag me on there. I'll reshare it.
Where did I get this from? Right.
That applies to every chapter of your life. When you feel like you are stuck, in a cycle, like literally, I do that a lot. Like when I enjoy something because it's comfortable. It comfortable. It feels homey. It feels good. Like to be in that moment, enjoying that song, and you can put the repeat mode, and you just do whatever, dance whatever, and then you stuck there. You don't have any other step. You don't have it. It's that same song that keep coming, and it's the same. You're repeating the same feeling. The feeling is not increasing, it's not decreasing. You stay at the same level. That's why you need to get out of there, explore other things,
Right.
And it's gonna get played out.
I do that right now. I'm listening to a Maverick City Music one song, and I'm like, Alexa, repeat the song. Alexa, all day.
Every time you're gonna want to hit the repeat, now you're gonna think about me.
Yeah. No, I don't even know what the rest of the album sounds like, because I've been stuck at the one. It just released last week, so I've been stuck at the one song, Gyra, for like the whole week.
That was a good one, though. That's a good one.
Such a good song. But then now I'm like, oh no, I gotta listen to the whole album. Like
the album is good. The whole album is good.
I may be selling myself short.
Yeah.
And I think
that
would apply to like these relationships or these hookups. You may be selling yourself short. I think if you verbalize it in a way that's non-judgmental, which is, would you consider that you may be selling yourself short? How would we know? Let's weigh the pros and the cons. Well, we don't know because we haven't gone past this stage. We need to get past this so we could see what's around the corner.
There's no comfort in the unknown.
and other elements might enhance the experience, right? That
Hello.
song might be good, but there might be some synthesizers missing. There might be some other chords that are like the minor that just slide in there, and you'd be like,
Come on,
"Ooh,
sir.
communication,
Worship leader.
ooh,
Come on.
understand?
Okay.
Come on.
Oh, a picnic
Bring in the other
beforehand?
elements.
You washing the dishes after? I could lay here."
Oh my God! And you know how to cook?
Not
My
washing the
God!
dishes.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So true. So true.
Washing the dishes.
Yeah. I got some energy now. Blue chew. What?
That's so
You guys
good.
are not good. Like you guys are so not
That's
good.
hilarious. I mean, that's real though. That's real.
Yeah.
It is real. It is real.
I love
Talking
it.
about that, I think like I'm starting to get hooked to the clubhouse thing, and I think like his children can have a clubhouse. We have not activated yet, but I think this is one of the things that we can, start doing also on the clubhouse. I think that's something that we need to explore and talk about in our group. If you guys are open to it, like
I have to follow you. I didn't know you were on Clubhouse. I've been on Clubhouse.
I
since
am. I haven't really been active until
November.
yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, you just activated?
No, I've been there since I don't know last year or sometime, but like I've never really been like following or listening or participating in anything until recently. Yesterday, actually. So I think
I'll be over here
I thought
pinging
it was
people like,
overwhelming, but
Mm.
like I think there are some rooms that when you got in there, like you have like amazing conversations
yeah.
and
You have to
revelations.
sift through. The thing with Clubhouse is you got to sift through, and you got to know what's quality versus like, what's just, their quantity. They're just trying to get people in numbers, and it's like this is not the content in here is not worth eating.
Yeah.
Mm.
That's what I thought.
There's
All right.
It's been an hour and a half. I think like if you guys have more to say about the subject, if not, we're gonna come to some conclusions, which I think we already kind of did. Like, is there anything else that you guys want to add to the conclusion, which is like it's not worth it?
Mm.
That 30 minutes is not worth your life.
Here's what I want to say.
Like the remaining 30 minutes of our talk. It's not worth it. You've already done.
It ain't worth it. We just stretching it out at this point. It ain't worth it. That is hilarious.
Next.
Oh, all right, I be dissing our own stuff. I'm sorry. X that last comment. Delete everybody.
We're going to edit that part out.
Yeah. That's not going in the repost.
But here's the thing. My last thing, last opinion on this is, we talked about it. You're going to have to do what you have to do for you to be able to realize. But I think that hopefully that this conversation, and maybe you have people around you that will help you in that, you come to a point where you have a realization in that process of doing that you come to that point where it's like, the light goes on and you're realizing, you know what? I'm worth more than this. I'm not getting what I need out of this. I'm not really satiated. And now I realize, because the physical element has been met, but there's another part that's lacking. That's the thing that when people tell me that they're going through that now, it's easy for me to be like, girl, let me just tell you. But that's my perspective. You have to allow people to get that perspective. And I always hope in that conversation, I kind of always make it to the point where I'm like, well, keep your eyes open and your ears open and, pick up on what you can pick up, because you want people to have that realization and say, you know what, this may not be worth that time and effort. But, people are going to live. They got to do what they got to do. They think the grass is greener. And sometimes you find out that, no, they need weed whacker on that end. It's just not.
Oh, my God. Yeah, the analogies today.
I'm saying the analogies today are like coming. But it's true. It's true.
I think I shared a link in the chat, like for you guys who are still on with us, like, if you are watching the replay and you found the conversation interesting, remember to share, like, you never know who's going to get blessed by this message.
Exactly.
As silly as it sounds, I think like there might be a word for somebody out there that needed to hear this.
And we didn't touch base on Adisa's like neurological description about it. Like the whole like shot of adrenaline. Yeah, so I hope people can go back and read that and see that there is like a physical element that is keeping you to that, but that's where it's like you really have to understand like mind over, I'm not gonna go there, but you already know.
Yeah.
That's
usually we do invite people who are on to join through the link that we posted like a few minutes ago. And to be on with us, like if you have questions or if you want to share your thought, if you want to share your experience. So if some of you in the comment want to do that or just ask questions that we can post and share or comment, whatever. Either way, thank you guys for being part of this conversation and following us. Like we said, it's just like a bunch of friends who like to have a lot of opinions and we like to share them publicly. We could have this conversation, in a private space. So we just want to share with you guys all and, have fun with you guys all every Friday. So every other week we switch from French to English. So next week we will be like back to the French and then we'll see you guys in 2 weeks, hopefully. So I'm going to give a few minutes while you guys keep talking for whoever want to join the panel. And if not, I think we're going to call it an evening. Right, guys?
We're going to call it. So I gave my 2 cents. My final 2 cents.
Glaze is good, but apple fritter might be better.
We're going to keep this train moving. We're going to
we're just going to keep with the analogies. I love foods. I love donuts. So,
what's your thing? You said the what is good?
I said glazed is good, but apple fritter might be better.
I could not.
We love the apple fritters.
I don't know. That's my favorite. So
I love it. That's good.
Okay, so I'll say you can have a T-bone steak and think it's the best steak, and then you go and your money game comes up and you get a Kobe steak and you don't want to go back to a T-bone steak.
That's a good one. I think that might have took it right there.
Yeah, don't go back.
That might have took it right there. Because
I won't turn back.
Loing starts singing the gospel
moving
song.
Forward.
I know, right?
Go back.
I know. I was trying to look at the Maverick City music playlist. I was going to use that. She stuck on one song. I was like, "What's the next song right after that?"
Gyra. What's the next song after Gyra?
What's after Gyra? Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Maybe that'll be the test in 2 weeks. We'll see. Did you listen to more songs?
Oh no, I'm listening as soon as I get off. That was a word for me. As soon as I get off, I'm gonna listen. It has to play.
But now I'm over it. Yep.
I'm listening to the whole album.
I have no idea what's the rest. I don't know. For a week.
Wow. This is deep though. Like it came to me and it was like a slap in my face because you think about it even like in your life, like generally speaking, how we like to repeat cycle, take the same road. We are like people of habit, animals of habit. So we like things because it makes us feel secure. But I think one of the goals that I've, set in my life is to make my life an adventure, which means that even if like something is very comfortable, I'm going to challenge myself on a daily basis to do something that scares me. So as we live this life today, this is what I'm going to tell you guys. Challenge yourself with the next.
Wow.
Because it's always best. You never know.
Challenge yourself with, and that's the hashtag from this session.
Yes.
So good.
You never know. Stop like hitting the repeat mode because you get stuck on the same track.
Carlita went away and came back so saucy with so much oil. And she like saucy. And she came back like bam, bam, bam. And you think it's subtle, but we see you, girl. We see you.
Yeah.
Don't
It's going all over my timeline. Challenge yourself with the next something with the next track, something. And don't, I'm gonna tag you. Don't take any more credit than that. You just get the tag. That's it.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
You came back saucy. You got some oil. Yeah.
I think the thing is like, I'm sharing more now, but like Nali, who's around me every day, she knows like I'll be dropping things. Like I just don't share everything on my social media or like even like in close circles. Like I've been dropping like.
I've been using the emojis with the eyes. I've been using the emojis with the side eyes all the time. Like what?
You're like, what?
Hey, real quick, I want to shout out. This is my buddy Cleopatra. That's made this
Hello,
comment.
Cleopatra.
This is my buddy from Korea.
Listen, girl, that's true. Breaking certain habits is easier said than done. That is very true.
That is very
It
true.
is.
If that wasn't true, we wouldn't have a 12-step program for alcoholics. We wouldn't have all these addictions. So that's absolutely true. But the beautiful thing is there is a way to break them. As hard as it may be done. But there is
one day at a time with his grace. Thank you, Lord.
Step by step.
Step by step, exactly.
Yep. For sure.
So thank you for sharing that, Cleopatra.
Definitely.
Now, what was that quote again? So I can still challenge yourself with the next. Is that what it is?
Challenge yourself with the next. Look at.
Yeah, I need to go find my thesaurus. Something else. I'm gonna switch one of those words so I can
challenge yourself with the next.
You gotta have your phone on recording.
No, I got it. I'm gonna go back and play this so I can get it. Y'all gonna see it. You're gonna go on my Instagram tomorrow, and it's gonna be up there. You're gonna be like,
you just gotta wait so it's not so fresh.
Yeah. I'm gonna wait a day.
Yeah.
Put some colors that's different brand colors than just chosen. See?
So funny.
Nobody's gonna know.
Ain't nobody
gonna know. Nobody's gonna know. How would they know?
Wait a minute, hold on. And then she take the phone and she start recording. Go ahead. Like, I'm like, ma'am, please. It's true. And it's not just me. I feel like we all do that because we take it for granted to have like that level of understanding. Like we don't value anymore like the things that the revelation that we get. But like it is revelation.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's true.
Absolutely.
That's very true. That's very true. Well, I hope people have gained revelation through this discussion today.
Hope so.
Because we've gained some.
Yeah.
Hopefully add your comments after the fact, guys. If you're watching this after this is done, give your 2 cents. We would love to hear from you about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're
absolutely.
Definitely
this was a great convo, guys. Thank you, as usual, panel, for being on.
Yeah,
and,
you guys are
making
fabulous.
this what it is. And thank you, Natty. Thank you, Dandies. Thank you, Dominic.
Thank you.
And then we will see you guys. Thank you, all of you that were in the comments and all of you who are watching the replay. We will see you guys in 2 weeks for the English course, and then next week for the French.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Feeling everything was said today.
Awesome.
Yes.
Awesome.
Don't try to get credit.
Just tag me on.
Yeah, I'll just be like, this one girl, she said this thing. Don't worry about it.
I'll be on your page. I'm following you.
Yeah. Now, listen, y'all gonna laugh when you see it tomorrow morning.
I saw that emoji. Like
I'm gonna put it with the that little the Twitter picture of yourself in the corner.
Yes.
But it's gonna be me. It's not gonna be Carlita. It's gonna be me.
I'm
just telling you now. This is my immunity.
That's it.
Love it.
That's it.
Oh my God.
Hilarious.
Thank you guys.
Okay.
Bye.
Peace out. Bye, guys. Amazing. Oh, he done tore this thing up. Awesome.